Conference action here. The winner of this tournament goes to the Final Four. Now our picture's up. I'm Paul Farbaugh, joined by Mr. Volleyball himself, the 7-second delay man, Tim Heffron. Also, in his spare time, coaches the IPFW women. Tonight, Tim, Wisconsin-Milwaukee against Lewis University. On paper, Lewis has beaten Wisconsin twice, but there has been a tough obstacle for Lewis to overcome prior to tonight's meeting here.
Definitely. They've had one of their players, Jose Espinenzo, has killed himself accidentally, apparently, a few weeks ago, and that, of course, looms large in their memories down there on the floor, and so we'll wait to see how that will play in the match, if their mental capabilities will hold up throughout this match.
Espinoza was the backup setter, and we'll set the lineups for you quickly here as Wisconsin gives one away to start the match. He was a backup setter, accidentally shot himself in his dorm room 3 weeks ago. Lewis that night, he shot himself early in the morning, accidentally. And Lewis that night had to play Milwaukee, and they beat them in 4 at Milwaukee. And earlier at Lewis, they beat Milwaukee 3-0. So this team coming in tonight for Lewis University, should they play up to their capabilities, looks like the on-odds favorite to play IPFW tomorrow night.
Yeah, they definitely have a mental edge, beating them twice earlier in the year and having the better record of the two in the conference and an overall record. Maybe a little more experience with their Canadian connection there with Lewis. But you never know. In this game, all of a sudden a team can click, they can bring it on, they can feel some confidence, and if Milwaukee does that, we're going to have one heck of a match here.
Okay, we'll set the starting lineups for you as we go along there. Jason Toffler, number 10 with a kill. He's going to go back to serve for Milwaukee. Lewis University comes in at 19-5, break even in the MIVA conference at 5-5. Milwaukee comes in 1-9, that victory over Quincy. Quick hitter over the middle there. Milwaukee 2 to get it over. Swinging successfully from the outside, Ken Mersick. He's a freshman. He is one of the Illinois players of this team. Chicago, nearby Lewis University. It's based in Romeoville, Illinois. And 4 Canadian national players on this Lewis team. So they are going to be a team, a very young team, a lot of freshmen. They're going to be a team of the future, really, right now, Tim.
I think so. Right now on the court, basically Lewis is not having to do much. All they have to do is put the ball in play and watching Milwaukee hit the ball out of bounds.
Big swing that time, Nick Momcilovic. He's the big gun for Milwaukee.
Definitely hits the ball at a higher level than the rest of his teammates there. Going over, probably through the block that time. He's going to see a few balls tonight.
He was all-conference last year in the MIVA tournament. I should say he was all-tournament last year. I shouldn't say all-conference. He is their main go-to guy. Lewis comes in here with some pretty gaudy stats. We'll set their lineup as we go along here. There's some question about how they keep stats, but they are quite successful in kill percentage, especially their middles. Overpass successfully put down by Mark Caratu, and now the score is 2-3. Silovic still on serve. Let's set the lineups for you here. We talked about enough. Jeff Carlson, number 2 for Milwaukee. First service ace for Momcilovic, ties it at 3. Mark Caratu is number 14. Todd Lyon is number 15. He's an outside hitter. Caratu is a middle blocker. Jason Toffler, they list him here as the setter. He's number 10. Bob Erlenbaugh is an outside hitter at number 8. Silovic bringing the big gun from the outside. It's number 6. Put down that time by number 13, Sean Sultan.
Nice job by both setters here. They're making a very hittable set for all of the hitters to take care of at this point. The difference is not in the setting, it's in the hitting.
And we see right now that Jeff Carlson is the setter. Jason Toffler is swinging. Tied up at 3 apiece. Lewis jumps out 2-0. Oh, that is correct. Tim just pointed that out. Tim, speak up next time.
Yeah,
Jason Toffler is. Okay, I'm going by the wrong.
We've been handed 2 different rosters here. We're trying to figure out which one is. I know that Jeff Carlson is on the bench because I've known his father for quite some time throughout my volleyball career. So he's on the bench. He's number 4. Toffler is the setter there for Milwaukee. So we're just going to try to figure these things out as we go here. Like we say, we got two different rosters, and unless you know the people personally, it becomes very difficult.
And Tim decided he was going to take care of all the tough pronunciations tonight as well.
I sure did, being that I was not an English major or a communications major. I should be able to handle that quite well.
Momcilovic, the dink doesn't go, and both teams early on struggling to find any type of power offense.
Yeah, neither team.
Seen a lot of dink attempts.
Yeah, not in a smooth rhythm where you can make a lot of good things happen in a row. There's always a mistake happening, and that's breaking each other's momentum at this point. And thus we have a 3-4 game. There's a perfect example. You got a nice side out, and then you serve the ball out of bounds, and I think the first team to come away with some momentum, build like 4 points here, is going to get a definite advantage of this game.
Shank, Todd Lyon, Lewis now out in front.
And as soon as a mistake like that happens, I'd be willing to bet that the setter's going to go to Momcilovic here if he has a choice.
Boy, combination play, the double quick up and then Lyon coming in.
That's pretty sophisticated double quick with the swing hitter going to the 32, 42 range on the net. That's a high-level play for the way they're passing at this point.
Simple play, they go to Anthony Fenton on the outside. He leads the team 490 kills coming into tonight. And we're tied at 4. Once again, Momcilovic.
Yeah, as long as Milwaukee's going to pass like that, they're going to be able to run their offense. They're definitely a little shorter, don't have quite the jump that Lewis does, but if you pass the ball, that evens the game out, as we've talked about in the past here.
Serving a seam right there. Lewis
definitely overtouched the block. He blocked the ball as the setter is setting it completely on Lewis's side, and that's an illegal move.
The ball is only live when it's at top of the net, and that time it was clearly on Lewis's side of the net.
That's a nice play there.
Boy, Tim, when you run that complex of an offense, it looked like Karatu was going to come in, took an off angle on it. He was leaving it for Momcilovic, but Momcilovic just had to push it over. I think he really wanted to put it down.
I think he didn't mean to set the ball quite that tight to the net and quite that low, and Momcilovic had just a great adjustment.
Ooh, what a big block that was. Bob Erlenbaugh.
You got to like that. When you get a one-on-one stuff, you got to like that as a defensive team. That's the kind of thing that can spark you.
Like Ken Marsick rather, was reaching, number 8 for Lewis, reaching all the way down to his ankles, put that kill away. They're having trouble with Momcilovic's serving right now. They've scored 4 points, all 4 points Milwaukee has off of it. And Lewis with the put down. Back on serve, Anthony Fenton at 5-4. Erlenbaugh with a poor pass. Nowhere to go but back to Erlenbaugh over the 2 blockers.
We had what we've talked about in the past is the credit card defense. That's charging everything. And as you can see, the defender that time was running in as somebody was hitting it, and your chances of actually digging a hard hit when you're moving is pretty close to nil.
Tim, one thing we noticed, and we're keeping an eye on this match in regards to the winter plays IPFW tomorrow, so we're trying to also, while we're watching the match, look and see what IPFW might want to capitalize on here as Momcilovic comes bombing from the back row. Right now, both teams, they don't run as quick an offense. Even though they do run middle, their offense is not as quick.
Definitely not, and they're certainly not at the height above the net that IPFW is also. It's going to make it extremely tough for either team to beat IPFW. The only way they're going to be able to do it is to cause IPFW to pass badly and pass perfectly themselves.
Early ball with a bad pass.
Yeah, big
He's up with it, still alive. Overpass. Take this timeout right now to thank Cable Access Incorporated.
Milwaukee definitely in disarray. No motion, no fluid activity in a play set whatsoever. Lewis just taking advantage of it.
5-5. We've got to get this business taken care of him. The College Cable Access Sports presentation is underwritten in part by a grant from Cable Access Incorporated of Fort Wayne, Indiana. And all of a sudden right now.
And the other thing that either one of these, whoever wins this match, is going to run into IPFW, who is just playing apparently the best volleyball of the year, as they their last match was against Ball State and just completely destroyed them in 3 games like I've never seen Ball State being destroyed before. Just outstanding effort by IPFW. And talking to Arnie today, they had their practice. They start practice around 3:15, and he had them out of there by 4:15. If he lets them go early, that means they had an excellent practice, and he said they were just incredible today in practice. I don't know if that's a good sign or a bad sign, but we'll find out tomorrow. If they, Arnie obviously made a prediction in saying that if they play like they just practiced, nobody around here is going to beat them.
And Tim, your favorite player has just entered the game, Mark Merlet, and I give that last name, the pronunciation, in deference to your wine tasting abilities. You say he's named for a French wine out of the southern region of France.
A French a version of wine. It's in the middle of, as wines go, Cabernet being on one end and Zinfandel on the other, with the Merlet in the middle there. So it's got some rich body to it there, and so does our friend Merlet.
Okay, Erlenbaugh with a kill, so if you have chicken for dinner, you can have a Merlet with it. Back on serve. Let's get to the game, boy. We've been putting this, jumping around right here. It's a 6-6 contest right now.
Very even.
Outside Erlenbaugh, double block.
Yeah, it's one of those plays that Milwaukee's just not going to win the majority of the time because they're shorter. When they get a chance to dig a ball, they've got to get an offense out of it. What I mean by an offense is more than one attacker happening in the sequence. Such as that, they got a much better chance of success. If they become predictable, they're just not going to survive.
Off the fingertips, kill attempt good. Anthony Fenton.
Score is, Lewis is fighting for everything they're getting. They're not getting anything for free at this point.
And talking with head coach of Lewis, Dave Doiser, beforehand, his team is trying still to find their focus. He felt that they were focused coming in tonight more than they have been the last 3 weeks.
For a first-year program, and at that time, the setter's just got to get in position. He's lazy in getting there and never got turned around, and that's why that ball was called a lift off of him, because it was a nice pass, actually.
Once again, going at Merlet.
That time he did a better job. He was ready for it the second time, but you got to be ready for it the first time as a setter. So they're saying Lewis, 5-5, their first year in the MIVA conference is an excellent record for a first-year club. An expansion team, you can pretty much make the comparison with pro sports there, that it's extremely tough for a new club to come in and do well.
One thing different about Lewis University, volleyball is offered 4.5 scholarships. You're considered a full-fledged program if you do that. Ohio State only has 1 scholarship to offer. Lewis has 4.5, and they brought in a lot of Canadian players to play for them. They have them out on the court right now. 5-5, they actually took a match off of Ohio State. And they're very tough at home. They're not an easy giveaway in the conference at home. Salton. Erlenbaugh chases, got to dump it over. Now the reset.
Oh, it's tight.
Into the net.
That's called a trap. That's called a trap set. When a setter does that, they basically put their hitter in a no-win situation unless they're extremely experienced hitter. You set the ball too tight to the net for an outside hitter, which allows the double block to get right on it, and they just don't have a prayer. So every once in a while you'll see a ball start floating towards the net, and you'll see an outside hitter running like a bat out of you-know-what, and they just can't make it. It's impossible to be successful with that kind of set.
Well, Lewis now stretching it out a bit, 9-7. On serve, Ken Mersick. And the starting lineup out there, I'm going down the line right here, Tim. There are 4 freshmen, 2 sophomores for Lewis. So this team is going to be around, and there's one of the big guns. Quite emphatically, Sean Salton with a block. And
Last
time he played here against IPFW, he had a little something with Lloyd Ball going across the net.
Yeah, you know, he did. Norman picked up on it. Of course, Lloyd Norman being the veteran seniors, they're just not going to allow that, and that challenges them. That's like a personal challenge that they'll take in good stride, and they will raise their level of play to the appropriate level and eliminate that distraction.
10-7 your score right now. Lewis on a little bit of a break. The College Cable Access Program Guide provides information about our programming, including IPFW Sports Telecast. To receive your free Channel 6 program guide, send your name, address, and zip code to Channel 6 at IPFW 2101 Coliseum Boulevard East, Fort Wayne, Indiana 46805, or you can give us a call at 481-6000. Back to live action, going overhead. A great example, Mount Silovic.
Yeah, I think Lewis will start putting 2 blockers on him as the match goes, or they're going to give up a lot more side outs if they don't. Silivic's doing a nice job there. It'd be interesting to note that IPFW, Arnie Ball, their coach Arnie Ball, got his 250th win in a very unconventional way with a forfeit over Quincy. Quincy, their program folded this year. I'm not sure it folded for next year, but it did fold for this year as the coach was fired and some players quit. So the match that was scheduled, conference match scheduled down in Quincy a week ago or so, was canceled, and it became a forfeit for IPFW, and I'm sure Arnie wanted to get it the other way, but he'll take it anyway. It doesn't bother him. Oh, nice
service ace.
Very nice serve.
Doug McBride, the setter. That's a second service ace for Lewis.
That's kind of the candy cane serve, if you will. It goes up over the serve receiver's head and drops in the court. Extremely difficult to do because serve receivers start generally 2/3 the way back in the court. And if you can get a ball to go over their head and fall in the court, that's either a big rainbow shot or whatever you want to call it. I call it a candy cane. It's not an easy serve to serve, and I've gotten one of my players to learn how to do that. Heather, she's been working on that. She's getting more effective as we go, but it's not easy.
Heather, she just go by one name like Roseanne and Cher and
Heather does? Yeah, Heather Teagarden. You know, everybody knows Heather. But Heather Teagarden, our sophomore outside hitter for the women's team, excellent skills, of course, trained at Snyder High School with Tom Bierman. She just has real good skills and puts them to use here at IPFW.
Well, it was 7-6 at one point. Ken Merzak with a block there. Lewis up now 13-7 in control of this first game. Zanisha Dordovic on serve. And I've never seen a serve like that before. The miss hit. Eric Olson looking for the call off the fingertips, does not get it. Now we have game point, 14-7. Dordovic on serve.
It's kind of a surprise that
and a shank to put it away. 15-7.
Milwaukee wasn't. Yeah, they weren't more effective at the end of that game. It's obviously it's all in the passing because they got Mom Silovic in the front row and they just couldn't get him the ball in a hittable position. It's a lot has to do with in volleyball with your ability to pass the ball not once or twice in a row perfect to the target, but consistently over time.
Tim, that's a bad rotation for Milwaukee. Might they float a couple spots there to get Silovic off that rotation and get him in a position where he can do something? Or they're going to have to move their passers. Arleball has been doing a lot of the passing, and he really ran him around.
Well, you either change the pass or you substitute a new player in that position, or you actually change the serve-receive pattern. And the two basic ways you're gonna force Lewis to go after somebody new. They have to do something because it's definitely a glaring problem for UW.
And that's what coaches do. During the 3-minute break, during the timeouts, they will consider the lineup changes and the rotations that they have in. And that was very crucial to a win against Stanford, as Coach Arnie Ball said afterwards. where he moved the rotation around and was able to get the matchups that he wanted. And so we'll see if Milwaukee does something with that. Momcilovic, their big gun, they got to get it to him. We'll take a break right now. It's 15-7. We'll be back with more after this timeout.
Championship Volleyball. Dig it. May 6th and 7th, catch all the action as the men's NCAA Championship Volleyball Tournament comes to the Memorial Coliseum. The top collegiate teams in the nation will slam, jam, block, and save on their way bidding for the top spot in the nation. Don't miss top-ranked men's volleyball at its best. The NCAA Men's Championship Tournament at the Memorial Coliseum, May 6th and 7th. Tickets available at all Ticketmaster locations and the Coliseum Ticket Office. Hurry, they're going fast.
Do you go by? Do you go by the, how do you say it, Tachikara?
Tachikara pole, coach's pole.
Welcome back to the Gates Sports Center. Game 2 action just about to get underway. Tim, talking during that break there about where IPFW has moved up in both the Volleyball Monthly poll and the Tachikara poll. How do you say that? Tachikara. Okay, always add an extra syllable in there. IPFW number 5 in the Volleyball Monthly, number 6 in the Tachikara poll. Get that worked out.
Yeah, it's quite an interesting poll in that I'm not sure, you know, they've had a lot of articles in the newspapers, and you can follow that. It's a lot of politics involved with the polls. As far as I'm concerned, if you look at the teams who are up there, Stanford and Penn State, 2 and 3, I mean, we've beaten those teams lately and have not lost anybody lately. I'm not sure why we're not number 2.
But UCLA is number 1 and Stanford number 2 in both polls. Then you go Penn State, Brigham Young. Those have held the form in both polls. That's how it works out. IPFW beat Stanford and has beaten Penn State. Unfortunately, Penn State beat Brigham Young at home. That's why Brigham Young slips in there at number 4. And Cal State Northridge and IPFW have flip-flopped in one poll, 5 and 6. Any indication, though, we talked with Coach Ball a little earlier this week. He felt that they really, the tournament committee doesn't go by the polls when they make the seedings, and the seedings come out April 30th. Crucial match Saturday night. Stanford will play UCLA for the automatic bid.
Yeah, the interesting thing, I think, is the poll is basically meaningless when it comes to the Final Four and the seeds for the Final Four. Obviously, UCLA is going to get number 1. After that, if you go to on head-to-head competition and Stanford and Penn State get in that thing, that makes us the 2nd seed automatically.
There's Merlet on serve, not Merlet, as Tim would like to say. Mark Merlet, the service there, and both teams starting out a little tight here in the 2nd game. Put down by Momcilovic.
Yeah, he's hit that shot about 5 times now out of the right side, and as long as the blocker's not going to block cross court, I think he's just going to keep pounding it right there.
Overpass. Momcilovic didn't jump on it. Reset for him. 2 blockers up. He goes right in between the seam.
Yeah, Momcilovic a little sleep at the wheel there, I think. Wasn't ready. Got a quick wake-up call there as his teammates say, hey, ball's coming over.
He's the most impressive player on the court right now for either team. Boy, strong put down attempt that time. Fenton missing the line, though.
Yeah, and Milwaukee, if they can come out here with a quick lead here, get 5 quick points, and then ride out a lull, and then put together some more points, they're going to be in good shape in this game.
One-on-one block, the high set. Momcilovic read it all the way. Fenton tried to go cross court. He read his tendency. Fenton missed the line.
Interesting.
Momcilovic guessed middle court.
It'll be interesting to see who Lewis will set this time. Definitely not going to set the right side hitter.
Good pass to work with makes all the difference. Borden up with it, and there's your credit card defense.
Once again,
Eric Olson charging in, wasn't in position. You've got to just stay rooted and then react to the ball instead of being running around in that backcourt defense.
You know, when the team hits the ball hard, you got to be like a fire hydrant. You know, you just got to be there.
Oh, I think I'll give you that, Tim. The fire hydrant, you have to be rooted. Okay, Tim's got to come up. We're doing this all season long as Erlen Ball with a tough pass.
Yeah. It's the spatula there. A little, just couldn't come up with that one. I shouldn't use that one too early, though. That's
back to back. Tim's got to come up with 3 terms every game that we do here so you can keep up on the latest in the lingo of volleyball action. Pressure points as Momcilovic bombing again from the outside. They haven't solved that yet.
The spatula set is a one-handed attempt at setting the ball to the teammate, but the spatula is not the good form of it. Your hand lays back flat, parallel with the ground, and as soon as you do that, you're most likely going to get called for a lift. If you can keep your hand perpendicular to the ground, you're not going to get called for a lift.
Are we taking another look? Anthony Fenton with the dink there. Olson failing to cover.
Nice play.
Boy, and that is a very difficult set to.
It is, and you know, teams that play against Lloyd Ball will learn that from him. They'll see that that is a real possibility, an effective possibility, and if you've got a back row bomber like Momcilovic or Craig Collins or whomever, it's a realistic play that will be successful.
All of a sudden, Milwaukee out 4-1. Erlen Ball on service ace.
Yeah, they're on this momentum kick right now. They're feeling their oats here at this point.
And Lewis struggling a little bit with the pass. This is Fenton. Boy, he's got a left-handed gun.
He does. He's got a nice swing out there on the right side, both in the front row and back row. So you'll see right here, going cross court.
Tim, when we take a look at that quickly there, I know it's tough when it's in full speed, regular speed there. He really gets on top of the ball quickly and snaps it. Snaps his wrist right through it.
As a short player, you've got to do that. You've got to be quicker than taller players. You're not going to be successful, and that's exactly what he is. He's quick off the ground, quick snap, and reaching with full extension of your arm. Elbows not bent at all. That's what short people have to do. The vertically challenged, as we call them.
Fenton goes 6'3", but in this improving game 6'3", the height makes a big difference. And the block starting to work. Dave Doiser going to take a timeout with Lewis. They're trailing 1-5 in game number 2. They won the first one 15-7. Well, they had a couple substitutions come in for Milwaukee that game. Eric Seviers, who had matriculated here for a year, I believe, at IPFW and transferred up there. And Mark Merlette in the lineup for Milwaukee.
Doing a nice job picking their team up, getting them back into this thing here. If they can tie this up, then you go to that third game, and that is the pivotal game.
Well, you got to wonder how long Momcilovic can stick with it. Wonder how long his legs will withstand it, because they have been going to him. Fenton there.
Oops. Big mistake there. No block up. Took a little guess there after at the middle hitter. Guessed wrong, paid the price.
Next break. Good timeout, breaks the momentum. Merlette. Dink attempt by Ford, up by Milwaukee. Momcilovic with a poor set.
Yeah, that didn't even qualify as a trap set as it went over the net and out of bounds. I'm not sure what I'm going to call that. I'm going to have to find a name for that baby.
It's not a good play, whatever it is. You do, if Momcilovic is, of course, not the normal center. As he goes for the back row, did he get fingertips?
Don't think so. A little anxious. He wanted to hit that one hard after making a mistake there. Got to still play within yourself. You're up here, you were at 5-1, now you're at 5-3.
Merlette finding open space. Just go back to that point, Tim, when you see a Lloyd Ball or a regular setter do that, they will set the ball, so even if it does go over, the player does not contact, misses it, it will still be in the court and go over the net.
Yeah, usually that'll happen with middle sets. When you're setting the middle and you're off the net, like 10-foot line or so, the ball will travel over the net if the middle hitter doesn't get it. But if you're setting the ball outside and you set it over the net, it's usually going to go out of bounds. Another trap set. You can can see what happens with that.
Dordovic.
Don't have a prayer. You make your hitter look awfully bad when you set like that.
It's 4-5. McBride, the setter, on serve.
That's better.
Momcilovic, a big one-on-one block. Fenton. And he finally has realized that Momcilovic wants to go across the court. Service error for McBride. We're tied at 5. Merlet.
Well, Lewis's coach, Dave, has obviously calmed his team down. They're a little more focused now. They've got their defensive plans much better in order. However, their passing has not come around yet.
Great get that time by McBride. The bump set. And Ken Mersick with the kill.
Nice set. Momcilovic in a bit of a snooper here, trying to hit line and hit 2 out in a row. When you've been hitting the ball cross court for a kill every single time, I'm not sure why he changed the line at this point.
Toffler up, the quick hitter. Eric Olson with the put down. And Olson back on serve at 5-6.
Rather easy serve there, kind of a lollipop.
Sultan took off a little late for that one. The ball was right on top of him. The set was there. It's a hitting error for Sultan. Attempt good by Borden. Borden will go back to serve at 6-6.
I'm not sure why Lewis would want to fool with anybody else on the blue set or the back row set next to the setter other than Fenton. Fenton seems to be the one who's banging it. Plus, when he's in the front row, leave him out there because he's doing better than anybody else would do back row over there. So.
Two-man block. Borden ups it.
Uh-oh.
Another tight set.
It's a trap set.
Mersick stays away from the net, though. Did not touch the net.
And if you're Wisconsin, you want to block that ball. You want to get up there and stuff it. He really doesn't have a prayer if you go up and block it.
Boy, and there we go off the fingertips there. That time, IPFW might see a little opening there. These teams are not very good or not looking good tonight in transition.
No, they're not. Neither team is putting together a quick transition at all. And they're passing, both teams passing is suspect at this point.
McBride to Sultan.
That was a pretty nice set there. If you can see this, he's reaching almost over the ball's coming right down on top of the net. And as a setter, you have to set the ball back off of the net, which is hard enough. Plus, set it 10 feet away from your body on a quick line to the 31 spot. Extremely difficult set to master and takes a lot of upper body strength.
Erlenbaugh with the kill goes back to serve. It's 6-6.
That's the person you want to be hitting the blue there, Fenton. Definitely.
And there are just some players that are more adept than the blue. That is a broad jump type kill attempt where you broad jump into it.
And that's the difference. The difference between those two hits right there, Fenton's broad jump to the net, and number 11 there, Zavirs, he had a approach that was not a broad jump to the net, but a broad jump along the net. When you're a front row player, you want a broad jump along the net to get rid of the blocker, and when you're back row, you want a broad jump to the net.
Sultan chasing that down, dings up his right knee. Ludwig says it's okay. The kill attempt is good. Momcilovic. If Jim Moore, the public address announcer, has a different pronunciation. We've always said Momcilovic, so I guess we're going to stick with that. Haven't heard from him in a while. And there's McBride.
Yeah.
Doug McBride's 6'4". He's a freshman, and he's showing.
Freshman, left-handed swing there. He's a nice player. Probably doesn't have all of his confidence yet as an upperclassman would, but still. He needs to be hitting the ball a lot more to open up his middle hitters and everybody else.
Just get back. That was a difficult swing. He had to locate that ball.
And it was a low pass. It wasn't exactly like this high arcing pass either. Caught everybody off guard, including me.
Ooh, big swing, Fenton, over the middle.
Fenton definitely a broad jumper and left-handed. And people who are not used to seeing left-handed hitters generally would line up on their, as a blocker, would line up on their right shoulder. That's a big mistake going against the left-handed hitter. You have to line up, of course, on their left shoulder.
Erlen ball dug out. Mercick against a two-man block. Now the reset. Toffler. Olsen, does he catch?
I think it was just a tad out of bounds.
None of us had a touch. He didn't see it. He was running away. We all had nothing but out.
Okay, so there you hear from Patty Salvatore, the up referee.
Saying all of the officials agree that everybody had that ball out of bounds and no touch involved anywhere near. Trap set, big U's out of bounds, and a little talking through the net there at Fenton.
And we
As
get
you'll see
another
right
look
here,
at it.
He turns back to the net and talks to him. Didn't get to see that in the replay, but might have something to develop out of that.
Well, this Lewis team does like to talk, and Fenton, boy, does he bring it. That time a little bit on the decline on his vertical, hit the ball coming down. Fenton is an impressive player, too.
Certainly is. Nice athlete.
Service ace that time, an error by Mercick. Sultan has got to tell him when to back off.
Exactly. It's Sultan's job to call the ball in and out, and if he believes the ball's in and he bails, your passer bails, he's the last person in line to pass it. He's got to be ready to pass the ball in an emergency case. Trap set, uses him out of bounds.
Momcilovic or Momcilovic, depending on your preference with the kill.
Yeah, if you get a set that's that high and gives your hitter enough time to get there, and he actually jumps higher than the blocker jumps, then you're okay because you can use him out of bounds like that. But if it's low and tight, you don't have a prayer.
Substitution now coming in for Wisconsin-Milwaukee, back row specialist. And one coming in as well for Lewis. We'll take care of Lewis first. That's Omar Moran, number 15, coming in. He's going to be serving the ball in for Milwaukee. 5 Mac Millar. And Moran on serve at 7-9. Momcilovic setting Erlenbaugh, two-man block up, and he misses.
Yeah, he was going for a radical angle inside. About 10 feet inside from that sideline. That's pretty tough to hit. Not many people can hit that, at least that hard, hitting the ball that hard.
9-8 on serve, Momcilovic.
And once again, Milwaukee here, if they can put together a little more of that momentum here.
Well, a tough serve, just ticking the net.
They could sprint out to a bit of a lead at the end of the game.
Fenton on serve at 8-9. The spinner, Roulette up with it. Severes, Mercick digs. That time just a little too close.
Yeah, that actually was not the best choice for the setter to set Milwaukee in the middle that time because the pass was so fast the middle hitter didn't have a chance to adjust and come in on time. So the set actually hung in the air, allowing the block to set up real well. And he did a nice job in slicing the ball off, but it became an easy dig. Lewis just didn't transition out of it, didn't make an effective transition.
Are we checking rotation here?
Do we have somebody who's not? Oh, now they're using that other other roster, the Phantom roster. I'm not sure.
And so they're wondering
Which
about
roster
number
was
5.
submitted?
They have number 5 is Eric Olsen.
Yeah, the problem here is that.
Okay, let's see if we can pick up Petta Salvatore here and see what the conversation is.
Not on the roster.
They have to submit a roster.
Guys, get away! Get away! Get away!
He checked the numbers to make sure that the numbers were correct. He didn't count the bodies.
Who?
Coach from UWM, number 5 is not on the roster.
Well, does he have 12 that are marked as?
No, he doesn't have 12. He has 11. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 11.
So it was our.
Well, he talked to the scorer. And she gave him this list.
Why is 5 on
he
there
checked.
now?
5's not on here.
I thought 5's on the bottom there.
No, that's a 3. 5's not on here. So we just.
Oh, is that counting that?
12
there's
would be
11?
5. No, if you put number 5 on, it'd be 12. I just put him on.
I just put him on.
Not make a big deal.
Because he's only got 11.
Yeah.
We should have caught that a long time ago.
Yeah, what happens here is the coach submits a lineup to the scorer. And what happens is the scorer, usually whatever the coach submits, I mean, that's the roster. And if a player's not on there, then they're not allowed to come in the game. A number is not on there. It's not allowed to be used in the match. Usually, the second referee will take the roster that's given to them by the coach and look at all of the numbers and make sure that they identify those people and look to make sure that there's 12 people and ask if there's not. Usually they say, hey, you know, you only got 11 on here. What's up? Do you want 12 or not?
Service, yeah. She said, could be 9-8.
But the referees are being a little lenient in saying that they probably should have caught it earlier, and therefore, since there's only 11 on the roster, we'll just add him right now. Right. He's already in the game.
No, that was a side out.
It's pretty generous there by the officiating staff.
Okay, they're checking right now the rotation and the score.
This should be number 9 here, but number 8's back to serve. Okay, hold on a second. Okay.
Right now they're checking to see whether 9 should be
in center back.
Benton or Mercick, number 8, who
serve,
is holding the ball.
We should be right here.
Yeah, in the confusion on Milwaukee's side, we may have Lewis kind of sliding and taking a mental breather there, and apparently they may be out of rotation, or the score could be confused with that kind of a development. Everything is thrown out of sync, and it's hard. You got to make sure you start back in sync when you do start.
Tim, what does this do to the players on the floor when you have a break like this? You're all warm and loose, you know. Was there a tendency maybe to?
It basically starts. It makes you feel as though the game. It's a new game, and that everybody is rested now, and it's a completely new game, and everything's new.
But it's 9-8. Lewis trailing right now on serve. Well, we'll take this moment right now. Boys and girls grades 5 through 12 are invited to attend one of IPFW's instructional volleyball training camps July 11th through the 28th here at the Hilliard Gate Sports Center. IPFW men's volleyball coach Arnie Ball, women's coach Tim Heffron, Mr. Volleyball. Past and present IPFW players and local high school coaches will conduct high-intensity training, and if Coach Ball is involved, you better believe it'll be high intensity. That emphasizes all the basics, fundamentals of volleyball. For more information, 481-6643. Back to live action, and we have a lift.
Yep.
And so here's all the cause for confusion right now. Number 5 coming out, he was not listed on the roster that the officials were going by. Back in Eric Olson, number 10.
Oh, it's a touch. And, yep, the second referee, Pat Karras, did catch that as it was out of bounds, but it did go off the passer.
Severes with a service ace.
Goes after him again. Nice pass, however. Sultan with a decent swing.
It was not the prettiest attempt, but Olson with a put down on the overpass.
Yeah, a bit of a waffle there, but hey, every once in a while that changeup will get you. Doesn't have to be pretty, just has to be a kill.
You already used spatula. I don't know if I'm going to count that one or not tonight.
Oh,
we've
used that before.
Okay. Toffler, Olson. I don't know what you call that one.
I'm trying to save this ball because the set is going towards my face. And I'm just going to do the best I can to get it over the net any way I can, and just got a little too far, that's all.
Chris Borden comes back in. Sultan on serve. Silovic, dug out of there by Fenton. And Sultan catching a line. That ball looked out of bounds. See if we can dial that one up on the replay.
Patty does call the ball out of bounds. I think it was, and you can see it here, but you can't see the back line, so hard to tell. But I think it was out of bounds.
And the up official always has the overrule, the final say. Erlenbaugh now. Momcilovic.
There it is again. See, now that's that cross-court shot, and they have not stopped it. And if I was Momcilovic or the coach telling Momcilovic where to hit, do not hit line where you've hit out of bounds before. Keep hitting cross-court.
And it's 12-8 Milwaukee. That break serving them well. Momcilovic gets a piece of it, looking for the ball. It's going to be set to Burlett instead.
Not a great choice.
No.
The reason that's not a great choice is that A, you're running towards that. The middle blocker from the other team is already going over there towards the outside hitter. Back set the ball where there's only one blocker and you've got your best hitter on your team.
Well, both these teams do not use the middle as quickly in the transition. We've noticed that tonight. Momcilovic that time going cross-court one more time with a deep angle. Yeah,
a bit of a lucky hit there. He hit that one kind of side swiped that ball a little late on his approach and got it through there, snuck it through.
McBride sending Fenton. Two-man block on him. Going back one more time. The dink touched. Kofler can't come up with it.
That was the spatula, or the, the pancake without syrup.
Pancake without syrup, that means Toffler came up empty-handed.
Yep.
A little dry.
A little dry.
Momcilovic wiping it off the blockers. Board keeps it alive, though. Jousted the net, and that time Erlenbaugh, did he touch it? No.
That was a dangerous play from Milwaukee's point of view, because you've got a hitter, as you'll see here, just running into the net here and actually comes under the net. You can get an ankle turn real quickly.
And that's what happened to Craig Collins against the Ohio State match, or in the Ohio State match. Early on, Ohio State player came tumbling underneath the net, caught Craig with a knee to the back, and Craig was really not effective throughout the first and second games. Fenton off Momcilovic for the kill.
Score is 12-9. Milwaukee needs a side out badly here. They need to get the ball to Momcilovic, I would suggest. But it's not going to happen this round.
Fenton, and that time Erlenbaugh nut up on the net. Wasn't taking away anything. Going to have a timeout here. Glenn Moan has seen enough. He doesn't want his team to lose any more of that lead. It's 12-10 Milwaukee in game number 2. Coming in tonight, the records would suggest that Lewis was in good shape, 19-11 to 13-12 for Milwaukee. But it has been a tough game. Well, tune in to Channel 6 tomorrow evening at 6 p.m. to catch all the action. NCAA Volleyball, the MIVA tournament right here on Channel 6, and you are going to have a good one at 6 o'clock. Ball State, Ohio State, they split the matchups this year, and that is going to be a battle.
It'll be a war.
I like Ohio State in that one, but Ohio State just lost to Columbus, or lost in Columbus to Ball State last weekend.
In 5, I believe. And of course, everybody knows that the fifth game can go either way in rally score. So anytime you get to 5 with any team, both teams know that either team can win it. It's just almost like a flip of the coin when you get into that rally score.
The rally scoring really favors a team that can side out a stronger offensive team, and that's, of course, what Ball State is rather than Ohio State, which relies on the backcourt defense. It was 15-11 in that game. I would suspect that it's going to be another 5-game affair between those two.
It certainly wouldn't surprise us, I think. The only way it wouldn't be is, I think, is if Ball State comes out real disheartened and they get down on themselves, which they have done this year. When they do that, they do not play well and they tend to lose real quickly. So if they decide to play like that, we're going to have an early match. Ohio State will always play hard. They will always come at you and dig and dig and dig.
Erlenbaugh dug out by Borden. Beers, I've never seen that here.
Yeah, that's the park board shot there. That's not a good play, not a good offensive threat. That's a little better. That's the old flip it over with the back flipper shot. I don't know what the heck that is.
Well, Zabir's getting a little grief from his teammates there about that shot.
I think we have a blocking substitution here.
Top line.
Yeah, he's coming in to block a ball or two, I think. As I wouldn't be surprised to see our friend Fenton see this ball on the right side there.
It's where he's been most effective. They like to operate. He's a left-hander. just missing Erlenbaugh with a service error. And Lewis with another chance to tie it up here. Ken Mersick on serve at 11-12.
This game is critical for Milwaukee. They really have to win this if they're going to have a chance in this match, I believe.
Boy, that one just took off. Almost got out of the park here.
Yeah, must have hit a vent of air and just floated away.
Poor time for a service error, though. You've really just got to get the ball in play. And bailing him out that time, Sinisha Dordovic.
Not a bad shot, smart play.
Dordovic going right. The setter there, Toffler, wasn't too aggressive about getting his fingers injured in the net. Sullivan.
And that time it was just way too predictable. Everybody knew it was going back there. The outside hitter who passed the ball didn't have a prayer to get back in the offense. The middle hitter didn't drive hard, as you'll see here. And it's a double block, easy roof.
Well, it's a good play for Lewis just to set two people on that.
Sure is. I'd guess on it. It's a great strategy. Serve the front row player, the outside hitter short, and take him out of the offense.
Good pass that time and drive working out. Dordovic almost underneath the net, touching. Severe's back row set cannot connect.
Yeah, it's a big chance, big opportunity. You're 12-12. You've got to swing for a point. You just got to be successful. You have to execute that play.
Was 9-12 at one point. Lewis has come back. And Lyon called for that ball.
And I don't understand that play at all. You got Monsilovic here on the outside, and you've got a brand new player who doesn't have his legs yet. And you set him the ball. I don't understand that.
Monsilovic turned around by Fenton. And we're up to a game point here. 14-12 Lewis. Timeout Milwaukee. 5 straight points for Lewis.
Definitely. They're just putting the clamps on because Milwaukee has become extremely predictable in their offense here, and the setter is not being deceptive at all. It becomes a pretty simple game, as we've talked about in the past.
Oh, absolutely. If you don't have a good pass to work with, it takes away so many of your options as a setter. And Lewis right now, they have more options. They have Salton, they have Fenton, and they can go to Mersick. And then you also have an option with McBride. He's 6'4". He can do a lot for you as setter.
You see Steve Simonson there on the tube, and it looks like he's got a new haircut there. Apparently it wasn't short enough the first time.
Steve has been going to the razor. I understand Steve was a little concerned about his girlfriend maybe disowning him after he got his haircut. He was the first to get a cut after that way the ball stayed. Monsilovic, a hitting error to end game number 2.
Milwaukee not pleased about that finish, and they shouldn't be. They should be pretty disgusted by that.
2 timeouts. They tried to stop the bleeding, but it was 6 straight points for Lewis. Close out game 2, 15-7, 15-12. We'll be back with game 3 right after this timeout.
Is alive and well at IPFW. That's because IPFW has established itself as an athletic power, not only regionally, but nationally. With 11 major sports, IPFW offers talented student athletes great opportunities. Success and support of IPFW athletics comes solely from the fans, students, faculty, alumni, and the prestigious Royal Dons Club. The Royal Dons Athletic Club has over 500 members who financially support IPFW athletics, enabling the university to provide scholarships to deserving athletes. Members will receive one or all of the following: season passes to all sporting events, special seating, hospitality room, plus Royal Dons apparel and gifts. In May of '94, IPFW will host the men's collegiate Final Four volleyball championships. Royal Dons will be first in line to purchase preferred seating. Be a part of the winning tradition. Join the Royal Dons Club. We need your support. Call IPFW Athletics. Get into the team spirit.
Strike. And how do you count the fish in the sea? How can you tell if a child is growing normally, if baseball is getting better, or traffic is getting worse? How do you know about stock market trends, the risk of cholesterol, the history of witchcraft, or the future of spacecraft? With statistics, that's how. And how can you find out about statistics? With the new Statistics Series, Against All Odds.
Children.
Welcome back to the Hilliard Gate Sports Center. Game 3 action just about to get underway. We've got a special guest up here right now, Coach Arnie Ball, IPFW men's coach, joining us now, and Coach looking over the lineups for both teams. Coach, what has impressed you right now about Lewis University? What are some of the things that you look for coming into a match that you expected them to do, and some of the things that you've seen tonight that maybe you weren't aware of, or anything like that? Have you seen something from Lewis that might surprise you?
Well, I don't think anything that would surprise us, Paul, but certainly Fenton, a young man that plays opposite for him, is very good. Left-handed kid. He's real strong, jumps well. You know, we know they like to run some middle. It's just the match has really kind of turned around because Wisconsin got in a position to win game 2 and then couldn't pass the ball and had to set the ball outside, and Lewis blocked a couple balls. So nothing that really surprises us that we haven't seen from them before. It's the same kind of lineup that we've played 2 matches with them.
Okay, and you really don't concentrate on what the other teams are doing right now. You're focused in on what IPFW is doing. Tim mentioned today that you had a really quick practice, in and out. You obviously liking what you're seeing right now from your team?
Well, we had a great practice today, about an hour. We warmed up a little bit and then played a 2 out of 3 game match, so a quick score, and the next thing I know it was over, and we played really well. So we turned the kids loose after about an hour, and I think we're ready to come and play tomorrow night.
Most of your team is out here, if not all, in fact all of your team is out here, eager to play. You're eager to get at this one here.
Well, it's because I had no choice. I made them come tonight. I made them come to watch the match. So I don't know about me or being in this gym or not, but they need to just come and see the 2 teams play, and first of all support our conference and the teams that are here, but also see Lewis and Milwaukee play, depending on who we have to play.
And there's something simple right there. Milwaukee having trouble passing the ball. That's been a big turnaround for your team. Ricardo was passing the ball earlier in the year with Norman, but Brad Perditis has come on and has really solidified your depth at that position there as one of the main passers in your system here.
Well, Brad's played real well for us, certainly since the first Ball State match that we played, and obviously that has added depth to us and gives us some flexibility. Ricky came in against Ohio State a couple weeks ago and played real well, and so that position is always a real crucial position, as you know, and certainly now we have some depth there.
One thing you notice about both these teams tonight is Olsen with a put down there. These teams are having a little problem in their transition offense, and they're not as quick. They don't run a lot of middle in their transition. Well,
I think, of course, the setter from Lewis is a freshman, even though he has quite a bit of experience, but he's a freshman, hasn't played with the other 2 middles. Obviously, he's played with them this year, but he's still a freshman. The kid from Milwaukee, when we played them last time, had just had an emergency appendectomy, so I don't know how he is physically, that kind of thing. But certainly, when you look at the 2 setters on the 2 teams, there's a dramatic difference in physical size and stature of what Loy is, and so it changes your offensive philosophy as far as the things you do.
That time the block by Seviers.
Eric's a transfer student from IPFW,
right.
And he's really come along well and has done a nice job for the Milwaukee program.
When you see this Lewis team, it's first year they're in the conference, they're 5-5, and there's a lot of volleyball players that come out of the Chicago area and they're nearby Wisconsin that can sort of use that as a base as well. This team is going to be a good team in years to come.
Well, Coach Strozer went right to Canada and got 4 Canadian players, and of course Canada, they start playing at an earlier age, and even what they do in Wisconsin, and they're in Chicago now with the program starting up, and so that was an immediate fix, and the kids are all freshmen, so they're going to be around for the next 3 years, and certainly they're a nice, good competitive team now. There's no reason to think that they won't be very, very good in the next couple of years. Really impressed with Manolovic from Wisconsin tonight. He's really served the ball and sticking the thing.
Well, he was, if my memory serves correct, he was an all-conference or all-tournament player last year as well. And the same thing is, he's really been the only option tonight on offense for Milwaukee. Sometimes Seviers gets a put down here and there, but he's been the man, and they can double up. Lewis can double up on him. Yeah,
both times we played him earlier in the year. Milwaukee, it's hard to say. I'm sorry.
Well, we've got a couple different pronunciations. Tim won't even touch it. At least you're attempting.
Yeah. Anyhow, he was not really a factor at all against this either match we played. And boy, tonight he's played really well, especially offensively. Milwaukee, once again, when we talked about in game 2, I mean, they were in a position to win and just couldn't put them away. And now they're out the 3-2 lead here and playing pretty solid. But they seem to be somewhat inconsistent in their play.
Well, both games there, they had an opportunity to get out and jump out to a lead. It was tied 6-6 for the longest time in the first game, and then Lewis goes on a run, and they get out 9-1 run and win game 2. They call 2 timeouts there. They're up by 3 points and can't score after that. What does that tell you about a team when they have a chance to put something away and they can't get it done?
Well, sometimes it's similar to what our team, we've been preaching with our team, is patience. You know, you have to have patience in this game because it's such a long game played over lengths of periods of time when you score, or between sometimes when you score. And so, if you have patience so that you can side out consistently, then give your offense or actually your defense a chance to score, then you can be successful. And I think both these teams are a little impatient in wanting to do some scoring right away, instead of just settling in and running their offense and taking advantage of scoring opportunities.
3-3 right now. Zavire's on serve.
See right here, Milwaukee needs to score, and they do. They need to take advantage of those plays right there. And so often teams that don't have patience make errors in those kind of scoring opportunities. Very similar to our team sometimes. That's the reason we coaches don't have hair part of the time.
And you might be losing some hair because as we'll get back to this play, Monsilovic dumps it over.
What a great dig. Oh, he almost had another one.
Well, he's in position, couldn't up it up. You have told your team, should you win the national championship, you would go for the Heffron look. You would get it shaved off. And Tim has sort of shied away from getting his head shaved again.
Well, I'm assuming when you talk about the Heffron look, you're talking about
the ball
getting your head shaved. I sure don't want to take on his physique. That's not part of the deal right there. I can tell you that right now.
Well, you know, he was talking about, it's funny, he told me that the #1 out there for Milwaukee, his name is pronounced Merlot, and I asked him, what do you base that on? He said, well, there's a wine, a Merlot wine. And so I checked around and I found out, no, that is indeed the incorrect pronunciation. So well, maybe you got a point there about Tim. I don't know.
Well, your statement earlier is true. I have told the team that if they were to win the national championship in the Coliseum, that I would allow them to shave my head in the middle of the Coliseum like our team is. But I'm not interested in taking on Tim's physique.
No, and Coach Arnie Ball, he works out regularly.
So I keep up with the young guys.
Erlenbaugh dumps it over. Right, nice set. Borden had nothing to do with that, but just put it away.
Point, Lewis.
Having lost game 2, Milwaukee just seems to have lost a little bit of their energy. You know, in the first game they were relying very heavily on emotional energy, and they seem to have lost a little bit of that. Once again, it's difficult to get teams to understand that you must not be on an emotional roller coaster. This game is once again played periods of time, and people talk to us about they never see a game where the momentum changes like it does in volleyball, and I think that's true. Because, once again, teams don't have patience enough to realize that if you consistently side out all the time, you can never lose the game. So after you make an error or two, you go back and you side out. And if you side out, it settles you down. And teams get impatient and they try and make great plays when indeed all they do is need to make consistent plays.
Has it helped your team that your seniors are showing maturity this year? You have Lloyd and you have Norman, they will get after people and yell at people on the court, but it's always forget the play, go on to the next one.
Well, you can't win the games, you can't win contests without strong leadership of your older players. I mean, you just can't, and it doesn't make any difference what kind of a team you have, and certainly the leadership of Loy and Norman both have made a big difference.
How about this play by Fenton there? We run up just on the replay there. Fenton is showing that he can do it from the back row that time on Silovic trying to dump over. The knuckler by Erlenbaugh. Fenton is really effective out of that back row.
Fenton is real quick, and they use him across the back row, both from what we call the blue, and they also run him on the left side on the red. And he's a good player. He's got a real live arm. He sticks the ball. And when you find kids that have a good hop like he has and a real live arm, they're good players.
John Gubera in the contest for Lewis University has been retired third game with the kill there.
Well, Milwaukee's not done anything to keep consistent pressure on Lewis, and Lewis is digging some balls against Milwaukee as well. You don't keep pressure on like that right there, hitting the ball in the net. Lewis is going to win the match if Milwaukee doesn't keep pressure on him. And they're just not able to do that right now.
Borden on serve at 7-5, and this could be it right now. Milwaukee, any one of those stretches. Did get fingertips, though. Monsilovic will side out.
So Milwaukee's just become very inconsistent in passing, and when they do, their offense is very limited, and Lewis is just ganging up on the outside.
We have a rotational error here.
Wrong server by Milwaukee.
6 should have been serving. 8's next server. Yes? Right?
6 is next
8
server.
should be next server.
We're out of rotation.
Now, Coach, is that a mental error on the player's part?
Yes.
Should the coach have caught that, or that's just...
Well, possibly, depending on what they're keeping on the bench. Now, in our case, Coach Schmidlin would catch that because he keeps track of our offense and the things that we do. In the case of the opponent, in their rotational error, Coach Franke would catch it because he keeps all track of all the opponents. So both of our assistant coaches either keep track of our team or the other team, and so we would catch it on our bench. But I don't know what the coaches are doing here.
Okay, well, you mentioned Mark Franke and Dave Schmidlin. They're both down on the scorer's table there, taking notes. And what might they be good for tomorrow night? What are you looking at here?
We're just looking at any additional tendencies that either team might have from when we played them before. Looking for just any little things that we could pick up to make us better both defensively and offensively. Dave has Milwaukee, and Mark is doing Lewis.
Service error by Zavirs.
So we have plenty of videotape on both teams and scouting reports, but it's just a final touch to take a look and see if there's any new wrinkles.
How about that matchup tomorrow night, number 2 and number 3, Ball State and Ohio State? When are the teams getting in? Are they here already? And what time do they practice? What do you look for out of that match tomorrow night as well?
Ohio State is coming in either right now or is here already. I know Coach Hansen was going to bring him in late today. Ball State will come up tomorrow. I think that match will be just very, very competitive. Boy, it'll be a war. Ball State beat Ohio State over their place last week, but it was a 5-gamer. Of course, Ohio State beat Ball State down at their place. So I would expect it to be a real battle. And it's tough for me to call. I just think it'll be a great match.
I got to believe that you're happy that you don't draw either of those two teams first round.
We ended up playing Ball State last year and ended up losing to Ohio State. So certainly I'm pleased that those two are playing one another and that we'll get a chance to play the winner of this match. The only danger of that is that our team doesn't look past the winner of this match. Certainly we have to play tomorrow night and play well so that we get a chance to play on Saturday.
Well, Lewis gave you a hard time. They're up 9-6 and up 2-0 here in game number 3. They gave you a little bit of a hard time up in their place up in Romeoville.
That's correct, they did. And both times we've played them was a different kind of lineup than what we're playing right now. We made a switch to the lineup that we have right now. And when we played Milwaukee, I think that ball might have been out of bounds, guys.
I believe it was. Penny Salvatore with a call.
Yeah, she's calling it in, but I think that ball was
and I'm right. I'm calling what's right. You're unbelievable. Great, thank you. I appreciate that. That's a compliment.
Patty's having a little dialogue there with number 10 from Milwaukee.
That's Eric Olson saying you're unbelievable. I don't know if his inflection was such that, but Patty Salvatore took it as a compliment anyway.
Patty does a good job. I mean, she's been doing this for a long time, and she's used to players come up and make comments. And I think it's neat that an official we'll allow players to blow off steam like that, and make a comment back, and not just pull out the cards and go, here, we're gonna take care of you right now. Well, it's different if they start swearing at you and that kind of thing.
Well, this Lewis team, you talk about emotion. This Lewis team really seems to have a lot of that, and they do a lot of talking through the net as well.
They do a lot of that. They're a very emotional team. They do like to jabber through the net, and of course, I believe the first time they were down here when we played them, they did a little bit of that, and we just shut their offense down. That took care of that. So the best way to handle all that is just to play well on the floor. Play well on the floor doesn't make any difference.
Ooh, there was a dangerous play almost. Fenton coming down on Erlenbaugh. Erlenbaugh pulled back in time. Fenton almost landing and rolling an ankle, but a big block by Fenton.
Yeah, Erlenbaugh jumped almost underneath the net.
Olsen over the middle, and we haven't seen that too much because Milwaukee has just not been passing well enough to run that 31.
Yeah, if we can handle the ball tomorrow night, we will run. We will try and establish our middles. Our two middles right now are the two best offensive, statistically, players we have. So, I mean, that'll be real important for us tomorrow night to establish middle.
And it coaches it a little bit too when you talk about the middles. I go back and I think about, okay, you have a Nolan Ryan pitching for the Texas Rangers, then you bring in a Charlie Huff. You've got Felipe Rolat and Mike Tremolin in the middle. You've got two different styles, even though they're hitting pretty much the same set. Does that throw teams off when you have Rolat, who is up quickly and really pounds the ball, versus Tremolin, who is still not quite as fast and not as much on top of the ball as Rolat? Does that make any difference when the team blocks?
Well, it certainly makes it much more difficult for the defense to lock in or end up in a zone defensively, because there certainly are two different kind of styles. Pepa is much quicker and Mike's much more deliberate. Mike actually hits the ball much higher and a much more severe angle than what Pepa does. And so, as a defensive player, you certainly have to adjust to both. And I think that's helped the success of Mike maybe more than Pepa, just because in Pepa's case, he really establishes a quick attack, and Mike comes along, and the next thing you know, Mike's got it on the floor, and you're going, wait a minute, that shouldn't be, but it's down there anyhow. Mike has really come along very nicely.
And I know you've talked quite a bit about it, but he's been a big key. Boy, that is an off-balance skill attempt by Sultan.
Sultan is their real go-to guy in the middle. He's the guy that is a real fiery guy, plays hard, really emotional. So once again, if we play Lewis tomorrow night, he's the guy that we'll have to try and shut down in the middle. If we can control him, why? Then they'll have to go to Fenton to the outside, and we can load up a little bit.
Yeah, they haven't really much used Sanisha Dordovic tonight, and he's third in the team on kills. McBride going to Dordovic right now.
I know he's third in the team in kills, but they're having a lot of success with Fenton in the middle, so they're feeding those two positions. They're having a lot of success at. And if you pass the ball, you can do that. Hopefully they won't pass the ball quite that well against us tomorrow night.
Rivera service ace, 13-7. Lewis about to roll this one out. Substitution, getting a little break in here in the action. Karatu coming out, Severe's back in. And this could be it for match point right here. And that's it, Sultan with a put down. So coach, we'll see you tomorrow night. Lewis University is going to be who you meet. They are 15-7, 15-12 winners and 15-7 in game number 3. That game tentatively scheduled for 8:15. Should the Ohio State-Ball State match go longer than anticipated, how much is that break in between that match?
About 25 minutes.
Okay. So tentatively 8:15, but about approximately 25 minutes after the Ohio State-Ball State match ends, IPFW will meet Lewis University, who survived tonight 3 games over Wisconsin-Milwaukee.
Well, Paul, I think I'll go home. It's been a long day.
A long day, a hard practice.
Nice visiting with you.
All right, I appreciate it, Coach Ball. Thanks for stopping by. We'll give it back to Tim Heffron here. Tim had a little break there, and Tim, I don't know if you heard the commentary there.
No, I didn't.
Oh, it's a good thing you did.
Well, it's probably on tape somewhere.
It's on tape somewhere. Tim, gonna be back here tomorrow night. We're gonna have your thoughts on the IPFW Lewis matchup.
Well, I think there's just no question that IPFW will out-physically play Lewis, and that the only way Lewis is going to be able to compete is to pass the ball better than IPFW, serve the ball tougher than IPFW, and get more emotional than IPFW. In all three of those areas, that's pretty tough to overcome, because that's some of IPFW's strongest points.
Coach Ball very relaxed tonight, only had an hour practice. He is really pleased with the way his team has come along and the maturity level shown by his team. They had an opportunity. Coach Ball offered a 4-day respite after the win against Ball State in Muncie, and Lloyd Ball and Norman Almodovar came up to Coach Ball after the match and said, no, we want to stick with it, stick with practicing. So he didn't give him any time off whatsoever. So the team is primed and ready for play. They are going to face Lewis. 15-7, 15-12, 15-7 winner over Wisconsin Milwaukee. That's going to do it for us. This College Cable Access Sports presentation is underwritten in part by a grant from Cable Access Incorporated of Fort Wayne, Indiana. And I'd like to take this time, too, before we go off the air, to thank the Channel 6 volunteer crew and the Learning Resource Center at IPFW for their contributions to the live production of our volleyball match this evening. The telecast of this IPFW sports event is copyrighted and is the sole property of the College Cable Access Center and IPFW. Unauthorized duplication, exhibition, retransmission, rebroadcast, and any other use of this event without the express written consent is strictly prohibited. Don't forget, tomorrow evening, Channel 6 will be on the air at 6 p.m. Ball State, Ohio State. That should be, in Coach Ball's words, a war. And then following that, 25 minutes later, it will be IPFW taking on Lewis University. Thanks for joining us. And Tim Heffron, good to have you here this ball far, but we'll see you tomorrow night.